Hi guys! Do you like Vanda Orchids? Do you think they are beautiful, gorgeous? And you have always asked you if you would be able to grow some of them? Maybe you want to have some extra information about some Vanda hybrids and some big Vandas? So if that's the case, this video is for you. Today I will explore a little bit about these beautiful hybrids that I have in here with me. It's very close to the Vanda cerulean. Some people call this tone of purple cerulean. That's like a blue Vanda. I don't know the tag. I bought it as a hybrid. And I will explore the topics of size, place, light, and how I'm growing this Vanda in general. Let me know down below if you enjoy Vandas, if you have any Vandas in your collection, if you have never grown a Vanda. I'd love to hear your experience and what you were doing with your plants and your orchids. More than that, I will have to place this beauty down because it's very heavy and big, but I will place many B-rolls here so you have more close-ups. So let's start. Vandas or Vandaceous orchids, they are epiphytes, which means that they don't grow in soils or in heavy mixes. They will grow on top of trees, tree trunks. They need lots of air circulation around their roots. That's why you will notice that they have very thick roots because they are adapted to live in the air and absorb humidity. These plants, they are monopodial plants, which means that they will grow one leaf on top of another leaf instead of growing horizontally, creating growth after another growth like Cattleya's and Oncidians. They will grow like Phalaenopsis, so you see one leaf. Sometimes they will produce a baby plant that's called a keiki from the base, but that's not exactly, it doesn't happen all the time. And in between these leaves, they will push out a flower spike. But usually these plants, because they are epiphyte, you will notice, as I said, how thick the roots are. They will tend to come to your house when we buy them from garden centers or maybe orchid nurseries. They are pretty available, at least in my region here, and in Europe I think they are as well. And I've just came from Brazil and I saw Vandas in Brazil as well. So I think they are pretty available plants, sometimes not the most affordable because of their size and how beautiful the plants are, especially the blooms, so they tend to put sometimes a higher price tag. But when they are nearly done with flowering, you may find them for a cheaper price. I think I bought this one for £40, but I have one that I bought for 20. So again, it depends where you're buying and also if it's blooming or not. So taking these out of the way, one of the things that you will notice with Vanda orchids is that they usually come to your house. That's how this one came to me, hanging in a basket. You can grow them hanging and you'd have to soak the orchid roots. But if you live in a flat like I do and you don't have time to basically water your plant almost every day, you can pot them up. So I'm talking specifically for people that live indoors. If you have a garden and outside area, you can even hang it to a tree. That's a completely different thing. You can pot them up. That's what I did with my Vandas. So if you're worried about that, I'm here to tell you that it is possible. My Vanda, this purple one, is potted in a clay pot. So it's a big clay pot where I added lots of bark. Bark is perfect for Vandas because it's aerate the mix and will not suffocate the roots. Vanda needs lots of air around the roots, so there is only 1 or 2 strands of moss in there. I pot it in this clay pot because clay pot is also a great pot that will help to aerate the mix even more. But I do have some Vandas that are potted in plastic pots as well. But in my opinion, I prefer the clay pots for Vandas than the plastic pot. But that's just a personal choice. The only disadvantage I would say with the clay pot in this case, because the plant is so large and tall, and the clay pot is big, is that you need some strength to be able to carry it, to water it properly. And if you have any issues with your arms or movement, I wouldn't tell you to pot it in clay, or maybe you should skip having a Vanda because they get really, really heavy. I love to properly water all the aerial roots, that's these roots that are coming out of the pot of my orchid. So I get it to the bath and I give it a really, really good shower until I can see that all of the area roots are turning green. So when they are turning green, I stop watering it. I wait for the water to drain a little bit and then I bring it back here to my shelving. That's how I usually water it, but I do that each 2 weeks. And once a week, I just pour a little bit of water on top of my potting mix. That's my preferred method of watering my vandas, and so far they are enjoying it very, very much. So, as I said, you can safely pot your vandas up, remove the basket. I may have some video here, I'm not sure, and pot them up. They will be super happy inside your potting mix, but you have to pay attention to the fertilizing as well. Vandas are super heavy feeders. They need the fertilizing. They enjoy it to be able to grow massive leaves and flower spikes. I add lots of slow release fertilizer in my mix, and I also use some liquid fertilizer from time to time to help with the healthy growing. Something else about this plant and about these big vandas in general is they are super resilient plants. I had infestation of thrips, I had spider mites, I had lots of stuff. It didn't affect my big vandas. Pests don't enjoy munching vandas very, very much. So, although other plants, even Cattleyas, Dendrobiums, Phalaenopsis got attacked and suffered a lot, my vandas, they were super fine. They kept growing and doing what they have to do. So that's another advantage. If you want to grow vandas, you rarely have to worry about pests. Only if your infestation completely out of control. Yes, if they don't have anything else to munch, I believe they will munch vandas, but I didn't have an issue. I never had issues with pests and vandas. They are doing super, super well. And in the case of this purple vanda, another thing is if you offer its water, its air around its roots, you see that's growing healthily. It's able to bloom multiple times a year. This one blooms for me at least 3 times a year, which is great because every time someone arrives here at my home and see these big vandas, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, it's gorgeous. Which type of orchid is this? So it's definitely a showstopper because it is large and tall, but the flowers are also very, very beautiful as well, which complements the plant. So I think if you have the space for one vanda and you really enjoy its blooms, go for it. I'm sure you won't regret it because look at it. It is amazing, isn't it? And something else, these plants, they come from tropical countries. They love the heating. They are warm growing type of orchids. Although I don't live in a tropical country, they do super well with my intermediate temperature inside my flat. And I have no issue whatsoever with temperature talking about my vandas. I do have issues growing Cattleyas that are also hot growing orchids because they require things a little bit different. They are more sensitive with pests. They tend to lose their roots very easily, but that's not the case with vandas, not even with this vanda. It is growing non-stop, and honestly, it doesn't care a lot about my temperature. The only thing that I noticed that it struggled a little bit before was during summertime that I forgot to water my fall, so it got a little bit dehydrated. But as soon as I start watering, showering all of the area roots, it bounced back super quickly, and it is doing amazingly well. I imagine that most people, when we talk about vandas, worry about 2 things. One is space. As I said, they are tall and big plants, so when you pot them up, you need to have the space for it. And where to place it? Thinking about that these are highlight plants that come from tropical plants, so we need to offer the right amount of light. Otherwise, some people think that these plants will not bloom, and maybe because we live in temperate climates, it's not possible to rebloom these plants if you don't have any sort of gadget, artificial light, etc., etc. That's not the actual truth. I have one Vanda species, that's the Vanda sanderiana, that's growing in one of my windows. So even if you live in a temperate climate with winters and everything else, you can place it in a southern or eastern exposure window, it will receive the right amount of bright light. Your plant will do super fine. As I said, I have one species, that's the Vanda Sanderiana, and blooms super nicely for me, just exposure to natural light. Even when the days are short, it's okay for this plant because it will receive bright light most of the year, although I don't live in a country that's tropical. So if you have a windowsill that's large enough or a hanging macrame that you can place near these windows, offer this bright light, do it, your plant will super enjoy it. And on top of that, I don't even offer some cotton when it's summer. I've never had any leaf that's been burned, so we have this advantage as well. The sun here can be strong, but not as strong that will burn all the leaves of my Vanda. So just saying, we can put all of that together. But if you live in a hot country, you can also grow them indoors and everything that I said. But in your case, you're lucky enough to have super strong sunlight, just be careful. Put some curtains to block excessive light during the middle of the day because they can burn the leaves of your Vandas, and you're going to probably have to water it more often than what I should, or maybe add something below the vase, below the main pot, that will be able to keep hydrating your plant. You have to adapt according to your environment. With my big Vanda, my big purple Vanda, as I said, it grows amazingly and blooms 3 times a year, and I offer each some growing lights. So if you have growing lights available near you, if you have the option to have growing lights, that's also an option for you. In my case, I use some thin light, extremely thin light that I brought from the US. I don't think it is a full spectrum one, I'm not sure. The only thing that I know is that my Vandas enjoy and keep growing and blooming for me. Especially this purple Vanda, this one is, as I said, amazing. I cannot complain about this plant. So it's just placed in my shelving and receive only artificial light and some very indirect natural light that I don't think it's able or capable of make these plants rebloom every year. So I own to the artificial light in this case, but all of the natural light I offer to my Cattleyas because in general, most of them I believe they bloom better when they exposure to my natural light. At least I had better results. I haven't figured the growing light situation in Cattleyas yet. So for this reason, I prefer to keep them there. And the Vandas are very large, so this one specifically, I am growing under growing lights. And just to let you know, another thing very interesting about this plant is not only the fact that it blooms multiple times a year, it's extremely strong plant, but also the color. It has this beautiful tone of purple that some people call like cerulean or a blue Vanda, but it's not exactly blue, it's a purple tone. I love it very, very much. It's strong, it is powerful. It does have some speckles, some details to the flower, but it is all purple. All the petals and sepals and the leaf as well. It's completely purple. I am sure it's probably a complex hybrid. It has no fragrance whatsoever, which is great. I don't think we collect Vandas, most of them, because of their fragrance in general, but because of the blooms. This one has a large bloom. So let me just measure. It's not exactly the size of my palm, but almost. And it gave me this time like around 11 large flowers. So I'm super happy. Now it's winter here, so who doesn't love to see blooms, beautiful colorful blooms, when the weather is so gloomy outside, so gray and cold? I am sure that you probably understand me. Flowers can definitely warm our heart. And this is one of the plants that warm my heart. Although it has a very cool tone to it, it warms my heart. And it's one orchid that I adore. More than that, let me know, do you have any Vandas? Do you enjoy Vandas? Want to grow any Vandas indoors? What's your favorite type of orchid? I would love to hear you on the comments down below. I will leave the growing lights link down below as well. I hope you enjoy some of these tips to grow Vanda indoors. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, it helps me a lot. And I'll see you again this week. Bye bye!